What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back. I won't say a new show alert. I'll say a new season alert. It is the season premiere of David Makes Mann. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, listen. We start this episode off. Remember, we've been talking about this, that they've sort of fast-forwarded David Makes Mann, right? So all of the characters are grown now. David is clearly out of college. He has a whole grown man's job. And we start this episode off. He's sleeping. He's dreaming about being at the bottom of a pool. He wakes up at exactly 3:28. I mention it because we see that time again. So there must be something significant to 3:28. Maybe it's something we already know and I just forgot from the first season, or something we're going to find out as we continue to go through this season. But the 3:28 is the time he wakes up. He wakes up and he is in a pool of sweat. We see him immediately get up, strip his bed, and wash the sheets, which is very reminiscent of how we started off David Makes Mann, where we started off with JG wetting the bed and David washing his sheets for him before his mom found out that he was, peeing in the bed or whatever. We get a couple of those little flashbacks as the show goes on. So we see David get up. He goes to the gym. We see that he lives in a really nice building. The person at the front desk knows him. He clearly gets up early like that every morning and goes to work out or goes for a run. Because the guy at the front desk, knows it, right? Knows him coming. He got himself a little girlfriend named Nicole. Now, they have a little open relationship situation, but they're definitely each other's regulars. We see him get dressed and get ready to go to work. He's got on an outfit. He's on the train, and he, has a backpack. Okay, he has a backpack, but of course it's a grown man backpack. It's like a laptop bag, but it's a backpack, real nice. And while he is standing on the train, this police officer comes by and bumps him. And they kind of look at each other, and the police officer was like, "You're not going to say excuse me?" And David is just like, "Yeah, all right." And they get off the train, and the police officer follows behind him. And he's like, "So you're not going to apologize? You can't say you're sorry? You can't say you're sorry?" And finally, David is like, "I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear from me?" And the police officer, while they're out there talking, another cop car pulls up. It has two white cops in it. And they're like, "Officer, you need some help here?" And he was like, "Nah, we good. It's my brother." So it's JG now. Who the hell let JG go through the whole police academy? I don't know. But it is JG, honey. And David is not amused. David don't find it to be funny. And JG walks off laughing, talking about something. "I'm going to call Mom because you cussing at me," because David can cuss him out by this time. And JG finds it real funny. And, he calls Mama, and we hear the mother on the other line talking about something. "Leave your brother alone," right? So David goes into the job, and he's working for like a consulting firm, right? He's trying to make partner, or at least we think he's trying to make partner. He goes in, he does the same thing again, very reminiscent of when he would go to the prep school, where he would get himself together. He would put on his game face, his very charismatic smile and all of that. Now remember, David was a very adept, that's the word I'm looking for, adept at code switching. He could turn it off and he could turn it on. Like, he knew how to code switch. He walked in the door. He's got that big $1 million smile, and you see him talking to the guy at the front desk. He's bringing him the newspaper, and the guy's being very formal. And David's like, "Mr. Mann, oh, we got company?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, we got company." So David, the nervousness and all of that he's been dealing with is because he has this big pitch. Now, we find out that he is making this big pitch to a land developer who is actually looking to redevelop the projects where David grew up. And we see the pictures, and David is speaking about, this land needs to be redeveloped. This place has seen better days. And, we see him going through this whole very practiced, very stiff presentation. He's almost kind of rushing through it. And he realizes that he's losing his audience, right? So he says, "Listen, let me get the room." It's the developer is him and his son. he said, listen, I need the room. And his boss, his boss, young white guy, he's looking at him like, what you mean you need the room? And nope, everybody is very hesitant. He was like, listen, I know I'm jumping off the script, but I need the room. I need to talk. I need to talk to him. So he gets everybody to go out the room and he says, listen, he had this whole pitch about luck and opportunity. He starts talking about the history of Miami and how it was founded on luck. And, he had this whole thing working. He said, listen, I know what you want and I can get it for you. And he's like, what do you mean what I want? So he goes through this whole thing about, this is what you propose to the city council. It's this big, huge, like mall, like this whole monstrosity of a mall with a lake and like all this different stuff going on. And he was like, that's crazy. Like, I'll never get that through. He was like, exactly. He was like, everybody's going to be against you. They're going to fight you. It's going to be newspaper articles written about how you want to tear up and you want to do this and do that and how horrible it is. He said, but this is what he said. I can guarantee you that you can get what you want within 6 months. And so, of course, the guy's listening now like, how you going to do that? He said, easy. You're going to present the mall. And then, after you let, the politicians say what they want to say, you pull out, and then you resubmit the proposal for these nice condominiums that are going to go up in the exact same location. And no one is going to pay attention to the fact that these condominiums are way outside of what the people who already live here can afford. No one's going to pay attention to the gentrification of the area. The homestead homes is that what it is. He said nobody's going to pay attention to all of that. And everything is going to go through smoothly because all everybody's going to remember is that you listen to the community. You listen to the pressure. You pulled out of this huge mall and now you're going to build affordable housing. He said, and then that's going to set you up for what you really want, which is to be mayor of Miami. And when he said that, the guy was like, like, how did he know that? And so after the meeting is over, his boss is like, how did you know that's what he wanted? He was like, come on. Like, a land developer that's interested in, developing the most blighted area of Miami, really, clearly he has a bigger goal because it ain't about doing nothing for the community. And they end up having a conversation. His boss ends up having a conversation. He said, well, listen, if this goes through, my dad is going to want to make you partner. I mean, of course, me too, but definitely make you partner. So now we kind of see the landscape of what's going on at the job, that he works for the boss's son, right? And it's clear that the boss's son is fucking clueless, right? He's really clueless, okay? And so he ends up having a conversation with the developer, and he says, he said he'll give us a call. He'll give you a call. I gave him your number. And David has one of his out-of-body experiences. We see him tell the dude, you gave him my number. And he pushes him up against the wall and he jacks him up to my son. You mean to tell me, like, I ain't even going to get no peace at home anymore? Like, now I got to be looking over my shoulder for him to be calling me? But then, of course, he shakes his head and it really ain't, He's like, yeah, okay, fine. So then we see David, we see him leave work. Now, his girlfriend has said, you want to go to yoga tonight? And he was like, sure. But we see him leave work and we see him with some brand new sheets that he stops by. He takes the sheets. He airs the sheets out. He kind of balls them up and then folds them up. And I'm like, what in the world is this boy doing? But then we see that he ends up going to visit his mom. Now, we find out that they moved out of the homestead projects shortly after the season ended. Now, his mom, it looks like his mom, I'm not sure if his mama, it's at a place called Robin's Nest. And what it looks like is that his mom has hooked up with a woman by the name of Robin, and they're running like a foster home, and it's a foster home for, looks like, LGBTQ youth. Now, the reality of the situation is, I can't tell if his mama is in a relationship with Robin or if she's just working with and or for Robin. Okay, that part I ain't figured out yet. Now, Nicole calls David like, I thought we was going to yoga, and David was like, oh, my bad, damn, I forgot. And she was like, if the dick wasn't so good. And I was like, oh, well, see that this is an ongoing thing with the two of them. He gets to the house and we figure out the whole situation with the sheets. He gives his mom the sheets and she was like, these better not be new, because of course she won't take them if they're new, because I guess she don't want David spending money on her. But it clearly looks like David got the money to spend, but okay, whatever. JG is there. We find out that JG got a daughter. The daughter looked like she's in like maybe 7th or 8th grade. They're, kids all around, and they, like I said, LGBTQ youth, and JG is doing what JG does best, getting on David's damn nerves. Like, that's pretty much what it is. We see his mom, so we see her. She's looking good, fast forward, I guess we're at about, 10 years later or whatever. She's still looking good. And, like I said, JG's daughter, the mama, I guess she goes there after school, and so the mama's been working with her or whatever. So we find out that they're getting ready to try to relocate out of Miami. They're thinking about moving, a little bit further north, and the mama didn't tell David, and she was like, your mama didn't tell you? Oh my gosh, David, your mama didn't tell you. So of course David is standing there like, y'all moving? Like, why would y'all be moving? Why are y'all moving? And she was saying how, the neighborhood that they're in, they've just been getting harassed. It's been a bit much, and that they can do a whole lot more if they move further out of the city, and that's just what they've been considering doing. It's just been a lot, Of course, everybody is remarking on the fact that David looks tired, which of course he's not getting a lot of sleep. We saw that. He had a long day of work and that kind of thing. And he even ends up snapping on Robin. Now we see that JG is getting ready to head down to the Ville to go check on Miss Elijah and take care of some other stuff. And he was like, David, you want to ride with me? And David was like, no, I don't want to ride with you. And he was like, you'll never go back down there. Like, when's the last time you've been down there? Like, since we moved? Have you been down there since we moved? So then we're getting some information. We found out that David has not been, back down there. Not even to check on Miss Elijah. We find out that part of the reason why his mom is working at Robin's Nest and doing what she is doing is because of Saren. So we're speaking of Saren. We ain't seen Saren, but ever since her, she said ever since your friend Saren left, your mom, she ain't gonna never stop working with these kids, So again, we saying about it, okay? So JG goes down to the Ville. He's taking some groceries and stuff down to Miss Elijah. Now, Miss Elijah is not looking too good. I don't know about y'all, but Miss Elijah, now I know we're supposed to be fast forwarding, but Miss Elijah looked tired. Like, his mama looked good. Miss Elijah looked tired. But she wants JG to check. She's saying that, that there's some people doing some things downstairs, and she wants JG to check on it. And JG is like, I'm not, like, I came down here to check on you. I ain't here to check on no bunch of other people. Miss Elijah tries to pay JG. JG is like, I don't want your money. You just take care of yourself. You just be safe. But he does go downstairs, and he actually knocks on the door of the girl. I forget her name now, but I think it was a Nikki. And she answers the door, and JG, you could tell that JG used to have some sort of a relationship with the girl, because she said something about, JG, I know you was with Ashley. That's his baby mama, She said, I know you've been with her for a minute. Like, don't play with me. Like, I know that's who you've been with. Like, it's all good. Like, it ain't no thing. They kind of have a little back and forth. And while they're talking, they see it's a kid out here getting beat up. So JG runs up to try to stop it. She runs behind JG. And the little boy clearly had been bullied before, been beat up before, because he, not realizing that JG was running the people off, that were beating on him, he pulls a gun and shoots. So he ends up shooting JG. And I'm sitting here like, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Because I'll be real mad. So next thing you know, we're at the hospital. And David is sitting next to his niece. And they're doing that silent conversation thing that him and Saren did at the beginning of last season, where they're talking to each other, but they ain't really talking to each other, but you can hear the writing of like a chalkboard and that kind of thing. And it's funny because again, it's like she knew what David was thinking, and she just, because he's saying something like, are you okay? I'm okay. Why are we doing this to each other? Why don't we just say it out loud? And she kind of looks over at David and says, we're different. Now his mom and JG's girlfriend come out, and his mom is being strong, but it sounds like he's still in critical condition, but he's breathing on his own. The bullet did do some damage. He's gonna have to have some surgery, but he's not dead. That's all I can say is he's not dead. So David goes to have a conversation with his mom, and basically he's like, "Mom, are you okay? Basically this could be very stressful on you. I don't want you to have a relapse. Like, I'm worried about you maybe having a relapse." And she was like, "I can't believe that you're sitting right here at a time like this reminding me that I'm a drug addict." She was like, "Well, in case you did not know, I know what I am. I know that I'm a whole drug addict, okay? But in case you forgot, I have been clean for 15 years. But you wouldn't know that because whenever we celebrate anything, you have to work. So, David, I tell you what, why don't you just go home? I'll call you because ain't nobody got time for all this tonight." And so David is sitting there like, what I do? Because I was just trying to look out for you. But then, I guess he figures, okay, I can't do no good here. Let me go. He picks up his book bag and he about to leave out the hospital. Now, it's funny because he picked up his book bag and leave out the hospital. And his mother's like, "David, where you going?" "You just told me to go home." Then he starts seeing JG, and JG is following him. And he's like, "Go back, go back." And he finally yells, "Go back." But of course, everybody's looking at him like, who are you talking to? Because there's nobody here. But remember, he could see his mentor after he died. So, of course, it's scaring that. And it's little JG. It's not the adult JG. So he leaves out the hospital. Next thing you know, we see him giving it to his woman. Good. Now, she clearly don't spend the night. And they have this open relationship because she said something about them having sex on the bed with no sheets. And he said, "I'm sorry, I sweated the other ones out." And she was like, "With who?" And he was like, with nobody. She was like, "Whatever. I know you be bringing other women up here when I'm not here." And he was like, "No, I don't. I don't cheat on you." She was like, "You're not cheating. We have an open relationship. You're not with me and I'm not with you. I just want you to be honest. You could be honest with me about the fact that you had other women up here." He was like, but I don't. I didn't. Like, I really just sweated them out. Like, that's really what I did, So then after she leaves, he falls asleep. And once again, he wakes up laying in a pool of sweat at 3:28. So he goes out for a run. Once again, he sees JG, but he kind of shakes it out, shakes it out his head. He goes out for a run. And while he's out running, because he actually called his mom after the girl left. And she said, "Nothing's changed. I'll let you know if I hear anything." So he goes out for the run. And it's like I said, it's like 3 a.m. His phone rings, and I'm thinking, "Oh Lord, please don't let that be the phone call. It's gonna be the phone call." But it was actually the developer calling him, and so David's pissed because he's like, "You literally called me at 3 a.m. to meet you to talk about what?" And the guy basically is like, "Listen, you made a lot of promises earlier today. I need to make sure you can deliver." And David was like, "I can deliver." And he was like, "Why are you so sure you can deliver?" He said, "Because I have to." And so he's like, "Well, what is it that you want?" David was like, I want to make you mayor." He was like, "No. What is it that you want?" He said, because I get it that you want, he said, I want to make partner. Food was like, you're right. That's, you want more. Like, listen, you can't con a con. Like, I know that there's more in this for you than making me mayor. He said, but I tell you what, if you deliver and you make me mayor, you're going to have to quit your job. And David was like, what you mean quit my job? He said, because I'm going to make you deputy commissioner of something, something, something. So maybe that's what David really wants, because David ain't say no. And he ain't turned it down. So after that, we see David go back home. He comes back in the house. And who is standing on his balcony is JG. Little JG. And he's standing there. And David he's like, no, 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 no. And he starts crying. And he falls out. And he is crying. And JG starts crying. And I'm thinking, this better not. Because again, what you're thinking is, he's dead. Because he's coming to David just like his mentor came to him when he died. And I was like, this better not be. This better not be. But that's pretty much how it ended. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.